Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we have a lot of different moves to talk about for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The first thing that we're going to be talking about is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have placed wide receiver Rakeem Jarrett on the injured reserve. He had just had a 41-yard catch in last week's game versus the San Francisco 49ers, and now he goes on the IR. Obviously, wish him nothing but the best in his recovery. It's going to be taken, at least the next 4 games away from Jarrett and his rookie season so far. And what a cool story for Jarrett, right? He had worked himself into the mix of an NFL offense from coming in undrafted into the league and just carving out a niche for himself, carving out a role for himself, really just making the most of his opportunities. It was a really, really cool thing to see, and unfortunately now he is injured. Again, wish him nothing but the best in his recovery. You also have a few other different moves that have been made. Right now, firstly, J.J. Russell has been promoted to the team's active roster. This is why they cut David Wells yesterday, something that we had talked about in a separate video. So there was a lot of openings on the practice squad. You had 4 openings, I believe it was 4. A couple of those that were done was V. Jones has signed to the practice squad. He's 25 years old, younger brother to Zay Jones, the wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's also the nephew of Jeff Blake, former NFL quarterback, son of Robert Jones, played 10 seasons in the NFL, won 3 Super Bowls. That's pretty cool. And he's also the younger brother of former Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Caleb Jones. So pretty big NFL family here for V. Jones. He had spent time with the Seattle Seahawks last year. Hasn't necessarily done a lot, only played in 3 total games in 2022, but he's brought in for some linebacker depth, obviously with the injury to Levante David. J.J. Russell gets promoted. You have Devin White there as well. Servassier Dennis is also there. J.J. Russell did some very good things for the Bucs in training camp and preseason and whatnot. So shout out to J.J. Russell. He may be getting some opportunities moving forward. They've also added Quandre Mosley, cornerback, to the practice squad. This isn't the guy that we had necessarily talked about in terms of a veteran, but Quandre Mosley is a guy that has spent, time with a handful of teams going back to 2022. Actually was with the Buccaneers going back in October of last year, was released on November 29th. So almost a calendar year later, he is back. So shout out to Quandre Mosley. He's going to be a guy who can do some interesting things. Ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, by the way, which is just awesome. He's 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, fast as can be. So we'll see him get up to speed with the Buccaneers defense. He obviously has some semblance of familiarity with it. So shout out to Quandre Mosley for that. But aside from that, in terms of putting Rakeem Jarrett on the injured reserve, no corresponding move has been made yet. Oh, I also want to point out they have signed Rayleigh Webb, wide receiver, to the practice squad also. So I don't think, and David Wells is also back on the practice squad. So a lot of different moves. I'm pretty sure the practice squad is full now because you have V. Jones, you have Quandre Mosley, you have Rayleigh Webb, and you have David Wells taking up those 4 spots that were available. So that's it. The practice squad's full. There is still an open roster spot from Rakeem Jarrett going on the injured reserve. No corresponding move has been made yet to that. But all these different types of moves have been made. Shout out to all of these guys and all the opportunities that they're getting. But I want to talk about some guys who could possibly get called up to the active roster in the absence of Rakeem Jarrett. Firstly, I want to say, of course, you're going to be expecting more from Trey Palmer. You're going to be expecting more from Devin Tompkins. Those guys are just going to be getting a few more snaps in games now, and that should be the expectation moving forward. But in terms of guys on the practice squad, the Bucs have 4 wide receivers. First guy is Cephus Johnson, and I remember, if you guys go all the way back to whenever they first brought in this guy, it was interesting. 6'5", 220 pounds, used to play quarterback. This is a guy that I think Dave Canales could have some fun with on the offensive side of things. Why not give him an end around and then have him throw a deep pass, right? He's a big-bodied wide receiver, so he can also just get after it as an outside perimeter wide receiver. But you could do kind of some fun things with Cephus Johnson, I think. I maybe want to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers explore that possibility. Let him throw a couple of passes. Why not? Get creative with it. Maybe give him a Taysom Hill type of role. I don't know. Seems like it could be kind of fun, especially with the big-bodied former quarterback experience. I would love to see what they could do with him. Ryan Miller's another guy, former tight end convert to wide receiver, 6'2", 221 pounds out of Furman. Another guy who did some interesting things in the preseason and training camp and whatnot. There's a reason he's been on the practice squad this entire time. Is another guy that you could potentially call up and see what he could do. One guy that comes to mind is David Moore. 6 feet tall, 219 pounds, 5-year vet. So much familiarity with Dave Canales and his offense. This would be the expected move, in my opinion, is that David Moore just gets promoted to the active roster. I think that would be... We literally just talked about it in the previous video about David Moore getting some opportunities. Now would be the time for him to get his opportunities. So, would love to see David Moore get involved, see him get promoted, and see him get some opportunities, man. I'm a big David Moore guy. Give David Moore his chance, darn it. And let's see if he can do that. Also, the recently added Rayleigh Webb. Great name, by the way, Rayleigh. Such a fun name. It's a pirate name, man. What's your name? I'm Rayleigh. I'm Rayleigh Webb. You know, love it. Love it. Shout out Rayleigh Webb. Shout out all these guys, but Rayleigh Webb, great name. And, could be an interesting guy. Obviously, he has some NFL experience, 6'2", 204 pounds, went to the Citadel. Holy crap. But 2 years experience, was with the Ravens, was with the Patriots, has some special teams experience, has a bit of wide receiver experience in there as well. He could be another guy, but honestly, he may take a couple of weeks to just learn the offense in general. David Moore, just saying, could be that guy. Could be that guy. But we'll see. A lot of different moves have made. Shout out to J.J. Russell for getting promoted to the active roster. Shout out to V. Jones, Quandre Mosley, and David Wells coming back to the practice squad as well. Shout out to all those different guys. Rayleigh Webb for getting a spot on the practice squad also. And we'll see what the Buccaneers do in place of Rakeem Jarrett getting placed on the injured reserve. But what do you guys think about all of this? There was a lot here, a lot of different small moves that the Buccaneers have made. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, folks, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.